Reading a newspaper when I was 4. Ask Roslyn, they'll tell you.
4 years of age.
Yes, that is why my dad used to get frustrated with me, because he knew I had so much potential, but yet I was messing it up. Sorry. You're going to be a flight attendant. My mom was a hustler. I don't even think any of us girls hustle like my mom. Like I tried to tell my kids, go to uni. They didn't listen. But who am I to tell them? I never went to university.
All right, guys. Welcome back to another episode. My name is Eve.
Rouz, Eve's mom.
We've got another episode ready for you guys. Before we go into anything, guys, here at Rubasha Family, we've partnered up with Fanatics, so you guys can get Fanatics merch up to 65% off. They have deals every single day, guys. So it's amazing deals for custom drip, jerseys, everything. Make sure you check that out. Link is in the description. All right, Mom, how does it feel to be on the podcast?
I'm a bit nervous. It's not the norm for me. So I feel like I've been called into a studio for an interview, so I'm a bit nervous.
So, Mom, I was thinking about this, right? We had our first episode with Dad.
Yeah.
We talked about culture, just catching up. But with you, I wanted to get your whole story. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to go back all the way to the beginning, because I think your story can resonate with a lot of mothers, a lot of people out there. And who knows who could help, when we put on a show for these guys. So take us back to the beginning. So this interview, basically, right, this conversation, it's like, you're not even my mom. I'm getting to know Rouz,
yeah,
not my mom.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So take us to the beginning.
And Eve is interviewing me. So you want me the beginning from when I came to Australia, or
even before, where you come from back home in Kenya,
okay,
how you guys, just...
All right. So basically, I was born and bred in Nairobi. Nairobi is the capital of Kenya. Grew up in Nairobi for 33 years, went to primary school, went to high school, always got in trouble here and there, suspended.
What were you doing to get suspended?
Talking in class. I was very talkative. Yes. I was very, very talkative, and where I'm coming from, like, talking in class was unacceptable. Like here you get suspended for serious things, but there it was just unacceptable. So I used to be a noisemaker. That's what they used to call it.
Would you get beaten?
Yes, I mean the teachers beat us more than the parents did it.
How would they beat you?
They would get a ruler and the fingers on the fingertips, this hand side, this dark side, and with the ruler, the sharp edge, yes, there. That's very painful.
Wait, from what age is that?
So that is from standard 1. Standard 1 is year 6, year 7. It didn't matter. It was just about discipline. For them, it was just looking at discipline as a way of making us be better children, better citizens, better children, better youth in the country. My parents, initially, my mom met my dad in the country. That's what we call in the village.
How old were they when they met?
Considering my age, I think my mom must have had me when she was 19. So,
wow.
Yeah, so I don't know how old they were when they met. So my mom was working in the village, and then she came to the city, Nairobi, and my dad was playing football. My dad was a very big soccer player in Kenya and Nairobi. He was one of the best defenders Kenya ever had. He was a national coach for Harambee Stars. He was the national coach for Abaluya Football Club. That was the football club in Nairobi.
How old was he when he made his debut with the national team?
Oh, I couldn't tell, but maybe Maybe in 20s, late 20s.
Late 20s.
Maybe.
And he met grandma at what age?
So if my mom had me at 20, so maybe they met when they were 17 or 18.
And so tell us, like, how was growing up, so you have a father who's a professional footballer, and mom, what did mom?
My mom was a secretary, they call them personal assistants now, but she was a secretary. And she had a very good job. She was working for an international organization called Trigger Chemicals, where they were dealing with, Trigger is a company that was dealing with paints. So she was working at the head office. So yeah, it was good being brought up. We had a very strict father who was he was a disciplinarian. who believed in values and morals, and believed that you should always present yourself well. So he was the disciplinarian in the home. My mom was also very strict, but dad was the one who was disciplinarian in the home. Yeah.
So, and how many siblings you have?
So we're six. So
Yeah.
there's me, and then there's John, and then there's Annabelle, and then there's Monique, and then there's Gabby, and then Gabby, there's 9 years apart, and then there's Joseph.
Yeah.
No, sorry, there's Joseph, and then 9 years apart, and then there's Gabby. Sorry, I said that because Joseph was the last one for many years, and then Gabby came. So that's the confusion, yeah.
So you're the oldest?
So I'm the oldest, yes.
So how was it, and we're going to go back onto grandfather, and like, can you give us an example of some of the values that he used to preach to you guys, but also like, then you're going to talk about just living with 6 siblings or 5 or 4. How was it being the oldest growing up in Kenya at that time?
Being the oldest was very challenging because there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of expectations from you. Good manners. I didn't come from a home where the firstborn has to cook. Because I know there are people who've come from homes where the eldest child has to look after the other siblings. Thank God for me, I didn't come from that kind of home. I just came from a home, we were average, we were not like well off, we were not poor, we were just average. And what made us more in the, like, people to know more about us was because my dad was the name Niva was very powerful in Kenya. He was a big soccer player. We used to have before a game, you know how the players go to a hotel now or a camp to go and stay before a game. They used to come to our house and they'd stay there the night before. I don't know how that worked, but they used to come there, and we could have the media come.
Really?
Yes.
So the players would come in and stay at your place?
Yeah. And the media would come home, take photos. We had magazines, we'd just have like a magazine talking about my dad, the family, the kids. Yeah, so that is how the world saw us. We didn't know how much impact that was like today. I mean, you're a Beckham. Everyone wants to know you. Everyone wants to know your kids. Everyone is into your life. But then it wasn't that. We didn't know that it was that big at that point, that, dad was big. When I sit back now, I realize my dad was big. I mean, as I always say, that if he was around and he was still kicking the ball, who would have been celebrities now, She preferred us to go to boarding schools, unlike mom was okay. She would have liked us to go to schools in Nairobi, but dad was like, no, they have to go to boarding school. So we went to boarding schools.
Wait, before we go into that, how was your relationship we're going to go into you and your mom, but how's your relationship with you and your dad? Like, I know that daughter and father relationship it's a special type of bond. Was he affectionate towards you? How did he treat you?
I'll be very, very honest. I don't think we had a lot of turbulence. Right. My dad being a star, there's a lot of things happening. I didn't understand then between my mom and dad, because my dad being a star, he was a celebrity, getting attention everywhere, whether it's men, whether it's women, more women, and that caused a lot of problems at that time. But then as I grew older, seeing my mom and my mom talking to me, that's when I started understanding what was going on. I didn't have a very, very intimate relationship with my father, but I had a very close relationship with my mom, because there are things she could say and I could understand what she's talking about. I understand, later, I understood them later, but there are things I could see her do, her actions, like they say, actions speak louder than words. I could see her actions, and that's when I realized, and that's what has given me the strength of what I am today.
So at what age did you start start seeing things like that? Seeing maybe, or what were some things your mom would say to you, but you never understood at the time?
I'll say pretty much, the 9 and 10-year-old today is not like the 9-year, 10-year-old when I was growing up. 9, 10-year-old when I was growing up was mature. But the ones now, they're still a bit young. Some are mature, not everyone. And I understood there's a lot of things my mom could say. Like I said before, I didn't understand then. But then I started growing older and started becoming a teenager. That's when it started reflecting and started understand what my mom was talking about. So I didn't have a close relationship with my dad. However, he was very close. I had a very close relationship with my sister Annabelle.
Oh, him and
me and Anna. Yes, him and Annabelle. He had a very close relationship with Jose, my younger brother. Yeah, very close.
And for him, that's his youngest son.
Yeah, that was his youngest son.
Yeah, as a dad, you have that connection.
Yes, and that is how even my brother, he was playing for youth team, Joseph, and went with my dad to Korea because the youth team had to go to Korea. And my dad went with Joseph for football.
With the boys, was he very strict on, let's go train, let's go work on our game? Did he spend much time with them training them?
He was. I can't remember 100%, but all I know that he was very, he was strict, he was very full on with the fitness. Like, you have to keep fit, you have to train. I don't know Joseph, that is something he needs to speak for himself when he comes here, because I know they went to youth.
We'll get you on.
Yeah. And so that is how he ended up going. He just didn't go it easy because my dad was the coach. He was very strict. Anyone who played with Jonathan Neva, anyone who was under, when he was the coach, they will tell you that he was the strictest coach they ever had. He was no nonsense coach. So that is how he was at home. So coach on the field and coach in the house, disciplining us. Yes.
Did him and grandma watch football together?
Yes, we went to the stadiums a lot. And my mom used to cheer, scream. She used to scream. She used to cheer him a lot. And then I think we used to sit at the VIP, but we didn't realize that was VIP. Yeah, but we used to go and watch him at the Nairobi City Stadium. That was the stadium that they used to play. That was before Nyayo came up, but I don't think he played in Nyayo because Nyayo is a more new stadium. It was more City Stadium.
And how was that relationship? Let's talk about your mom. How was her character? What was she like?
My mom was a hard-working woman. She's hustler. My mom was a hustler. I don't even think any of us girls hustle like my mom. Sometimes I sit down and I think I hustle like her, then I think, no, mom was better than you, Rouz. So she was a hustler. She had her job.
Give us an example.
So she had her main job as a secretary at Trigger Chemicals. And then she had a business. She started in a printing company in the city.
So she was an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneur, precisely. So she started with an uncle of mine, Uncle Juma, Lena and Jedida's father. They started that business, but my mom was the CEO of that business.
So she was before that she was working.
She was still working. She was doing how we're doing 2 jobs now. So my mom was working and doing that job.
And she said,
and running the printer.
Printing company.
Yes.
So basically it was you'd come to them and they would print.
Yes. So she gave us works during school holidays. So during school holidays she'd make us work. She'd make us so I was the eldest. I was working there. Molly, my cousin, would go and work at the printing. We had neighbors called the Chemir Mills. Their mom was the boss of the women's prison. They would all come there school holidays and would work, and my mom would pay us.
Really?
Yes.
How old were you at that time?
Might be 13, 14, teenager.
Your mom was a hustler.
Yeah.
And then she was like, you know what, I'm going to put you guys on payroll.
Yes.
And at that time, she's teaching you guys responsibility.
Yes.
She's teaching you, at 13 years of age, yes, I'm doing this, but you guys are going to come help the family business, and I'm going to pay you, teach you, you know. Wow, so she was...
Yeah, so she was hustling. So and that is how she ended up. She bought a house in one of the eastlands of Nairobi. And then she ended up buying a farm, about 10-acre farm in the Western Province.
Really?
Yes.
At what age?
So my mom died at 41.
She died at 41.
So I think when she was having the youngest baby, Gabi, she was 35. So my mom did all these things when she was very young.
Wow.
And then the main house where she lived with my father, she also bought that, but with my dad in Langata. So she also bought that.
Oh, in Langata, huh?
Yeah. So she was a very independent woman. She did most of the things she did was by herself. She managed the home. She was the manager. She's the one who sat down and planned everything, how holidays are going to be.
Wow.
School holidays, say school holidays, you close school, you're going to go in the village, be with your grandmom. When we came back from school holidays, she would organize our school uniform. She was doing everything. Yeah, she was doing everything.
She just reminds me of just that, again, that when you think of a divine woman, that feminine energy, being able to hustle, but then also, making a home, having that structure, organization, cheering granddad like at the matches, and maybe also going through her own battles.
Yes, through her own battles, yes. So, we try to say we are strong. Even me, people say, oh, Rouz, you're strong. You can't be strong all the time. It's not easy. But for me, I look back and I say she was a strong woman. She had her battles to deal with. She had us 6 children to deal with, and we were born year after year.
Wow.
So you can imagine. Then she had my dad to cheer him as a soccer player, to welcome the soccer players when they come home, to organize cooking, what we ate, our uniforms and everything. I look back and I said, would I do the same? I don't know.
Hey guys, just real quick, I know you're enjoying the video, we're going to get back to that, but this video is sponsored by Fanatics. Now guys, the reason I've partnered up with Fanatics is not only do I have custom drip, I look fly, the second thing is I get to save money, and that's what I want to give back to you guys. It's always about giving back to the people who come in and support. So guys, you guys can get awesome merch, NBA, NFL, all type of drip at Fanatics. Hit the link in the description. Now guys, there is deals every single day, 65% off, free shipping. The more you wait, the more deals are going to go missing by you, and this is your chance to really save money and get drip at such a good price. As soon as you finish watching this video, click that link, head over to Fanatics and go copy some merch right now. All right, let's get back to the video.
I think my mom, she was a divine woman who did a lot and looked after the family, made sure we ate, made sure she portrayed our image, because image also then.
Yeah, you can get comfortable.
Yeah, image also was something, especially around the estate we grew up with, because we grew up in an estate where we grew up with some big shots of Nairobi. So it was a bit of pressure. Yeah.
What does she cook?
Ask Monique. Monique cooks the way she cooks fish, chicken.
Were you always around her in the kitchen?
No, not really. But not really in the kitchen. Yes, sometimes in the kitchen, but all I remember that my dad hated seeing boys in the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah. He would come and see Kina John and Jose and they say, what are you doing in the kitchen? This place doesn't belong to. It's a place for the women. Yeah. They were not allowed in the kitchen.
Be like, go play football or something.
Yeah, no, just get out of the kitchen. Don't be in the kitchen.
Really?
Yeah.
Granddad also sounds like a real one. He sounds like, yeah, it's just interesting, like, to see. So now talk about you being the older sister, your relationship. Like, how was it, just being the eldest, living life?
The oldest, I didn't, like I said before, there was not much pressure on me, like other elder people, eldest in the siblings who have to make sure the kids have eaten, they've gone to school, they've had a shower. No, I didn't come from that home. I was just the elder sister, elder sibling, where I just had to show good example. That's all I had to do. And I was the one making noise, getting in trouble in school, and my dad, I think that is when my relationship and him was just like, he couldn't cope.
Was this in boarding school?
Sorry?
Was this in boarding school?
Yeah. So primary school, an uncle of mine came and said, for the best for Rouz to do well, she has to go to a boarding school. And they took me to this remote boarding school anyway. And then high school, I went to Mukumu Girls with Roslyn, Gavana. And then a bit there I was suspended because I was making noise in the dormitory. You know when the lights go off, you're supposed to
What were you doing?
shush. Talking, I was always talking. I was a chatterbox.
So
In fact, I remember there's one time they had to make me a class monitor. They call it class prefect so that I shut up. So I was the one who had to write noisemakers. So that way it kept me quiet.
Really? So you were like, when the lights are off, what are you doing? You're talking, hey guys, like just talking.
The lights are, I just had things to talk about, and I don't know what things. And you know, sometimes I think and wonder what things was I even talking about. But then when I went to this high school. As soon as I got there, they thought, oh, you're so cool. They put me as an entertainment prefect. So I used to plan every weekend what's happening. So I'd plan this weekend to say, we're dancing, we're getting a DJ this weekend, and next weekend we're planning this. But that was the best that they ever did for me. So they just voted me as an entertainment prefect because they thought I was cool, I was quite entertaining, and I organized every Saturdays those things happening. I had everything happening every weekend.
And I think what I like about the teachers or the people who put you in that position is because they looked at your personality and they said, this is someone who's in entertainment.
Yeah.
Let's put her in something that instead of we're getting her in trouble for, she can be keeping people
Yes.
and that's what I think even teachers maybe lack today.
Yeah.
Is having that be in entertainment because you were that. Was your mom like that?
And that's where my trouble stopped. Actually, when they put me in entertainment, so I did entertainment prefect there. Then just going back in Mukumu Girls, I played a lot of volleyball. I was a very good volleyball player. And then, so in the school, I was running. I did athletics for them. So it also kept me busy because then that talking, there's no time to talk. I did athletics. I used to run 100 meters. Then I did hockey. I was playing hockey. I actually ended up becoming the hockey captain for hockey.
You were the captain?
Yeah, hockey
were
player.
You a player?
Yeah.
What position did you play?
Winger.
You were a winger?
Yeah.
Oh, shut up. Yeah.
I was a winger, but then I could also score very good goals.
Huh?
Yes.
So
And
you're
then,
athletic. How old were you at this age?
Maybe 16, 17.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So
Maybe 15, 16, because I finished school when I was 16.
Did your mom have that personality, that talkative,
Both my parents were talkative.
Okay.
Yeah, both my parents.
Grandpa too.
Yeah, grandpa was talkative. Grandpa was entertaining. Your grandpa was entertaining, and mom was talkative. Mom was quite funny, with people. She was a host. She loved people coming to the house, and she could entertain them. So I know that it's from both my parents. Yeah.
So you had the athletic side, and then what was your dream in what did you always want to do when you were in?
So growing up. Fast forward, moving to Ngei Estate where we lived in Langata, there was a lady, Mama Alex, I think Roslyn, if you're listening, you know her. She used to work for East African Airways. I remember I was maybe 14, and I used to see her with the uniform because they used to wear this leopard caps and nice cream. I remember the color, cream uniform and the leopard, the colors of the leopard. She used to come with her suitcase. She'd come from London. She would come from Europe. And I remember even this day when Elsie Presley died. Elsie Presley, she came from a flight. She was crying. She's like, can you imagine Elsie Presley died? I used to look at her and admire. And I said to my mom, I'm going to be a flight attendant.
At what age was this?
15, 14.
15.
Yeah.
So what did you like about it?
I thought she was so posh. I thought she was so calm, collected, so cool. She had swag. She was sassy. Her makeup was on point. And I looked at her as my role model. I'd never seen anything like that. And I looked at her and I was like, I want to be like this lady when I grow up. I want to be like this lady when I grow up. She was so cool. She was from Tanzania, but then it was East African Air. So it was Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. Under one umbrella. So I used to look at her and I say, I want to be an air hostess. And then at one stage when I was 16, no, maybe 15, those were years because I finished school at 16. Then I thought I want to be a newscaster, news reporter. So we used to have these cassettes. You guys, I don't know if you know them. We used to have cassettes where you put in inside. You press play, record. You do record and play. So I used to record myself so I could read a newspaper. But then I started reading a newspaper when I was 4. Ask Roslyn, they'll tell you.
4 years of age.
Yes, I was very,
Sharp.
I was very smart. I don't know what happened along the way, but I was very smart. At 4 years old, I could read a newspaper. At 4 years old. That is why my dad used to get frustrated with me, because he knew I had so much potential, but yet I was messing it up.
And so when you were messing it up by just getting in trouble.
Yeah, getting in trouble. So when you get in trouble, of course, when you're in class, other kids want to learn, and you're the one distracting. What's going to happen? So because you're distracting other kids, you end up missing out, because you're the one talking. Other kids want, because their kids, in my time, their kids wanted who academic smart. They want to learn.
And so you're
they're serious. But me, I'm that person who just wants to talk. Maybe never took school so serious. So everyone is just like. That's why the teachers either got me out of class or got me in a corner or beat me up and told me, stay. And I missed. That's how I missed a lot. But I will not blame it on the teachers. Say, oh, what I've missed in life today is because of the teachers. It's me. Yeah. I take responsibility for that. I take accountability for that.
So with what were the conversations he'd have with you? Like, can you stop getting in trouble in school? Like,
oh, my dad used to cane me. Hey, I remember one time, he used to say, lie down. Then he used to keep a stick. What do you call it? Stick? Upstairs in his room.
A stick?
To belt. Not a belt. You see here they say belt. It's a stick, like a wooden stick. Yeah. And he would say lie down. I remember that was the last time he told me lie down. I ran away. I ran. And I knew my dad could run.
He's a footballer.
He looked at me. He didn't even run after me. Because he just thought, if I run after you, I'll get you, mate. I ran, and when I hit somewhere, I stayed there in a corner. I stayed there for I don't know how many hours. I went home when it was dark, but he had gone to bed and he just let it slide.
He let it slide.
He let it slide. I don't know how, but he just said, maybe he thought I've been beating this girl and she doesn't get it. There was another time actually where we used to have report cards, and we used to have numbers on the report cards. So there used to be like number 1. So you're 13 a class, right? So they give you the report card according to your performance. So you have number 1 out of 30, number 2 out of 30. So people used to fight to be 1, 2, or 3, because some families had that pressure. You either have to be number 1, 2, 3. Me, I didn't care. Me, I was like, those people, I can be number 20. What? I think I was number 20 something. That had last. I went and rubbed. Imagine, I rubbed. We used to have rubbers. Anyone who grew up in my old school days, we used to have if you remember there was those rubbers. At the front there was red, and then the other side was blue. I can't remember what they were called. Then the gray side would remove the color of a pen. So I used that to rub, but then unfortunately for me there was a hole. So I wanted to look like it was number 3. I became number 3 out of 30. But that number 3 out of 30, when you read the comments from the teachers, she needs to improve. She's been. My dad beat me up.
He beat you.
Oh my God.
And then he was like, you're trying to play games. Wow.
Yeah, the pressure. That's the pressure we had when we were growing up.
Wow.
Yeah, but when I look back, I see with everyone who was number 1, 2, 3, and me who was 21, 22, I thank God where I am today. Yeah, because we are at different places, and that is why I always say life is different. You cannot look down upon anyone, or you can never say that I'm not going to use university because my kids never went to uni. Because I was just going to say, you can never say because I went to uni, I'm better than you. But I'm not going to say that because you might think that, because my kids have not gone to uni. But I'm just saying that I've come to believe, even growing up in the estate with the kids that were smart, went to big private schools, smart, where I am today and where most of them are, it's a discussion for another day. Yeah.
And just kind of getting from your background, you in school, I think like if you grew up in a place like Australia, you would have been a star. Because obviously the exposure here and everything like that. But just the way your personality, the way you were, like you had that, you know, you'd be maybe not the best in school and being a good student. But in terms
my
of
talent
life,
was somewhere else.
Exactly. In terms of life, in terms of even being a survivor, you were up there. And then it just goes to show you there's different sorts of education. But like what I can see was just someone who was, your imagination was wild. Like you saw someone, you had that imagination of a child, you were running, talking, being the, like, you know, when you were in the room, like people were happy. You light the room up.
And that's why for me, I tried to tell my kids, go to uni and the benefits, and they didn't listen. But who am I to tell them? I never went to university. I never went to uni. So, but for me, I told them the benefits. I didn't tell them I didn't tell them I've never regretted not going to uni, because I've been happy at where I am. I have, you know, being a flight attendant, having the passion for customer service. It has helped me in other areas apart from flying, even how to communicate to people in Australia. What I just told my kids, go to uni. But for me, what I just say that different people have different talents, and that is why I encourage my kids. Even when we took them to a private school, I said it's not all about education. It's about talents, because some people will say, oh, you took your kids to this exclusive private school, you know, how come this has happened? It's not about that. For me, it's about how you guys can communicate with people at different levels. And you can meet a cleaner, you can meet someone on the street, you communicate with them. You can meet a CEO and have a conversation.
So let's talk about now your career. So from going to high school to becoming a young woman, and what you went on to do.
So, you know, went to high school, finished high school, and then I went to, so because my focus was so much on flight attendant.
You'll never forget that image as a 15-year-old.
Yes.
That was your vision.
That was my vision. I wanted to go, so there was a college in Kenya called Utalii College. At that time, it was the Swiss people running it, people from Switzerland. It was really the prestige college in Nairobi. So it had, you do hospitality, tour guide. My brother John went there for tour guide. Rosalind, my cousin, went there for front office. Molly, my other cousin, went there for food production, and I did the same course with her. But my course was, so I went to study chef, but for me it was a step in the college.
Where were you living?
That time? Yeah, with my mom.
With your mom? Okay.
Yes.
So your mom and dad were together?
No.
Okay, so
no, separated. So mom and dad had separated. Mom walked away from dad.
What age?
Just after she had Gabby, so maybe at around 37, maybe 36.
And how old were you?
I was about 19.
So did you guys all go live with her?
Yeah, the girls.
All the girls? And
yeah, when she first left, we all went with mom.
Oh, and the boy stayed with dad?
And then after some time, they came and followed us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay.
then this.
And so, okay, so you're 19, that happens. How did that affect you?
At that time, it was just confused. You see, it's not like now. You see the kids now, you know, dad and mom are not living together, mental, whatever, health. Now, I was just confused, but I just thought it's the normal life.
Your mom didn't explain anything to you?
Mom explained. Okay. Mom explained before she left. She actually called us and explained and said why she was leaving. She came with her best friend, who was another lady, Mrs. I've forgotten her. She was half mixed, half white, half black. She was Kalenjin. She explained why she was leaving, and fair enough. So yeah, she left. But it was just confusion, and you know, you're all over the place. You don't know what's going on.
What feeling did that leave you, like mentally, yeah?
It didn't affect me mentally. Maybe later in life, people can see your behaviors and maybe think there's a problem there. But I will never say that I was ever affected mentally. I will never say that I never had affection from my parents. I'll be lying. I'll actually be lying, because me being the eldest, I got it from both sides. It's just because maybe my dad and I were not very close. But I will never be that victim saying that, oh, I suffered, or because mom and dad were not together, because my mom died, and no, I will never be that victim.
I saw something Deontay Wilder. He won his last fight boxing. I was watching all of his interviews.
Oh, I'm having a wine,
Yeah.
red wine. Yeah.
I was watching all of his interviews, and he said he was the oldest on his family. The dad was a pastor, so the parents came and said, "We're splitting up. What do you guys think about it?" And they went to him, who was the oldest, and he said, "Look, it's your life. You guys, at the end of the day, if you're not happy with each other, you need to do." But he said, I could never let that deter me from where I was headed in life.
Yeah.
I was on this path in life, and my parents divorcing, whatever. Okay, and keep going. So I've seen so many similarities in that, where it's like, okay, it's happened, like you said, maybe this is the norm, but hey,
it did
I
distract
want to
me.
be a flight attendant.
Yes,
this is
that's
where
right.
I'm going. Nothing else will take me from that.
Yes, and thank you for bringing it up, because I was so focused to becoming a flight attendant that I told my mom, this is what I want to become. And you know what my mom told me? My mom, before she left and she passed on, she told me, Rouz, I know with your determination, you're going to be a flight attendant. My mom told me, she said, because she just before she left, because she was going somewhere for prayers, and she called all of us and said, I'm going for prayers. My sister Gabi was in the village, so she was going for prayers and then to go and pick Gabi. And then she called us for just me saying, oh, I'm traveling and I'll be going to pick Gabi, but I'm stopping in Nakuru for prayers, and then I'll proceed with the journey. And she told me, Rouz, I know, because I know you. When you want something, you're a go-getter. And she was not wrong. And in fact, when she went for the prayers, the next 2 days later, she passed on. She collapsed and died. That pushed me more. That pushed me more, because it's the last thing she told me before she died. So,
and before she told you that, did you go and tell her mom, like, this is what I want to do? Like, how did that conversation
come? What the conversation was because I always told her I want to be a flight attendant. Then it died a bit, because then I started growing high school. It died a bit, but then she just said I was following my dreams. I was so determined. So we had an uncle who was a minister of Elijah Mangale, rest in peace. He was a minister for tourism and wildlife. Went to his office with my auntie Jedida, and I said to him, I want to work for the Ministry of Tourism, because that will take me to where I want to go as a flight attendant. And he was so good. He was so impressed with me. He's like, oh, that is really good. So he got me a part-time job, casual job, 16, in Mombasa, in fisheries department.
At 16?
Yes, I left home at 16.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I went to Mombasa. My mom got me a place to stay. I worked for fisheries, going to 17, worked for fisheries, and then came back to Nairobi, worked for Ministry of Tourism in Nairobi, and then Utalii was recruiting. I got into Utalii College, did my 2 years of chef. I was not interested in chef. My interest was not there, but what I was thinking is, if I get my foot in this college, it will get me to Kenya Airways.
So then you have that vision, you have that in mind. So let's go back to that conversation with grandma. How did that come about, where she told you, I know this is what you're going to do?
So it came about, we, old school, we never discussed a lot with parents about career. Usually the parents told you what to do, because it was for their own prestige when they're sitting with other family members, or they're sitting with their friends. Oh, my daughter is studying law in university, it's going to be a lawyer. My daughter is studying medicine, going to be a doctor. So I never had that kind of conversation with my parents, maybe because I was not book smart or something. But for me, I had told my mom what I wanted to be. The only conversation came about when it was very interesting, actually. She was going away and she was just calling us. You know how I can tell you guys, Ian, Emmanuel, I'm going to Nairobi, I'm leaving this house, and I expect you to do A, B, C, D. So that is what she came about. So she was telling everyone. So she told me, Monique was there, Annabelle, and she told me, Rose, I know. I don't know, it's just like she was giving me the last words. I don't know. Then after that, she died. She just said, Rose, I know you've always wanted to be a flight attendant, and I know you're going to do it. That's what my mom told me. I know you're going to work for Kenya Airways.
Wow, that conviction. And how did that feeling give you?
So at that time, and guess what? At that time, I had joined Kenya Airways, but not as a flight attendant. Because when I joined, they had not started recruitment. So when I joined there, they were doing, they gave me like, you call it casual job, like a casual, but it's a casual permanent job. In Kenya, we say kibarua. It was like a kibarua. So I was working there. So we were packing. I went to the department where we were packing, the stores department, we were packing amenities for the flight. So like orange juice. Those days we had the old school aircrafts, the Boeing 707. So we would just pack like coffee. So you say, this aircraft is going to Addis Ababa. How many coffees will they need? 2 coffees, sugars, tea bags,
So you were doing
that's what I was doing, packaging. Yes,
wow.
I was doing
and
packaging.
How old were you at that time?
18.
18 years of age.
Yeah.
Wow. So you were very focused, and it's crazy because it's like, I see where I get my...
No. I'm lying. So 17, 18, I was working. Sorry, 16, 17, I was lying with the tourism. I finished tourism. Then I went to Italy. I was about 20, 21 actually when I got the job. Yeah, because all that I've gone through college. Now I've got this job as a casual worker at Kenya Airways.
Yeah, and so it's just like, I see, it's crazy how... I think this is a cool conversation, and for even other people out there to know their family history, you know what I'm saying? Because then it makes so much sense when I look at my life and the things that I've gone through, that determination, the character, the charismatic nature, the talkative nature. It's like, this is what my ancestors have been doing, that entrepreneurial mindset, that vision, that persistence. So that's really cool to see. So did you tell your dad about it when you got the job at KQ?
So, when I got the job at KQ, yes, I told him, but he actually said, Rose, you're smart, you can do better than that. Flight attendants is for prostitutes.
Really?
Yeah, that's
because he has
street girls. He didn't use prostitutes, he said street girls.
Because it's that old school mentality.
It's the old school mentality.
So they never saw that as like a good job.
Yes.
Really?
Yes, not like career. So he said, you can do better than that. He was disappointed, but I went on and I did the job, and I got the job. But unfortunately, my mom didn't see me become a flight attendant. She passed on, but after she passed on, that's when the recruiting came in, and I got a job as a cabin crew.
And like you said, when she passed, like that, like I'm gonna make it.
This is when my mom passed, and sometimes I've had this prayer. I've been saying to God. My children want to become this. I don't want to die. I want to see them first do it, because that's what happened to me. I wanted to become this, and then
sorry. Yeah.
I wanted to become I wanted to become this, and then my mom passed. So I always pray to God and say, God, let me see when my children become first.
While you're here.
While I'm around, yes, yeah.
And it also speaks a lot to your character, because how old were you when she passed?
21.
So another 21-year-old. Imagine her telling you that could have easily derailed them.
Yeah.
People, that something like that happens to someone, they maybe turn into alcohol, they go into this.
Yeah.
It showed your character, even from before that, your parents getting divorced.
Yeah.
That's a big thing.
Yes.
In life. But as
and
a
being
child,
the eldest,
you still had that that determination. A lot of kids, they might even blame themselves.
Yeah.
They come, this day and age, a lot of the times is they blame themselves. Maybe they did it because of me, but it's like you said, I'll let nothing derail me. And even with your mom passing, something so tragic at such a young age, you still had that urgency to. So you got the job. How was that feeling? Like, what was that like experience?
And just I want to say that if it was in today's generation, you turn into an alcoholic, like what you're saying, but I never drank at all. I've started drinking very late, actually. So, for me, becoming a flight attendant, I was very excited. I was happy. That was it was very challenging and difficult to get a job at that time as a cabin crew. It was quite tough. you know, you got to be the best of the best. I wasn't the best of the best, but being in Utali College was an advantage because at that time, I was very lucky that Kenya Airways was also looking for people from Utali College. Because Utali College, like I said, it was a prestige college. It had the people who were running the college, the white people from Switzerland. So it had a name. So most of us at that time who were picked to be cabin crew, most of us were from the Kenya Utali College.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was a really big advantage.
So you said you'd never drank alcohol, but like when did you start? Like what was the age you went clubbing, enjoying with your friends? Like
actually, I started partying when I started partying more when I joined KQ. Like when we were young, the 18 and 19s going to Carnival. Anyone, shout out to everybody who went to Carnival. Them days, sneaking from your parents' home. Yeah, we went to Carnival because we used to live in Langata, which was close to Carnival. It was just once in a while, but I wasn't that crazy like other people, sneaking, I don't know, being driven, no. And that's how we lost so many of our friends. Accidents.
Really?
Yeah, people used to sneak from home, steal cars from the parents, from the boyfriends. Not boyfriends like boyfriends, lovers, but friends. People had accidents. Yeah, so I wasn't that crazy. I became crazy actually when I became like a flight attendant. When we do our trips to Mombasa, 2 nights in Mombasa, partying, next day work, or Mombasa, transit to Paris, London. That's when I started
Really?
partying hard.
How was it, by the way, going to London? You know, like all these.
Oh, that was good. Them days, it was. We used to have. It isn't like now. Now it's cost cutting, but them days it was more. You stay 5 days in London, 5 days in Paris.
What I want to do, Mom, is because I think this is such a good conversation. We have to continue this for the next episode. You feel me? So, as I said, I think your experience is coming back from, you know, just seeing your whole journey. Again, it's inspiration. It's awesome to document this, you know what I mean? Like to see your experiences, put life in your shoes as a black woman, whatever, growing up. And, you know, yeah, so I think that's awesome. Anything you want to say to the people before we head to the next episode? Don't give them away too much.
Yeah, there's a lot. I think there's more I need to talk about. It could be a lesson for you. It could be something you look at and say, what she's talking about, we've had this before. But at least you're hearing from the horse's mouth. I will give you my experiences, what I've gone through life, me coming to Australia, living here as a mother of 3 boys, bringing them up, culture shock. Let's save that for the next time anyway. Let's save it.
Let's save it for the next time. All right, Mom, thank you for being my second guest on this pod. You feel me? The Rubasha podcast. It's the #1 podcast in Australia. I forgot to mention that at the start. Yeah. It's the #1 podcast. Make sure you guys check out the discounts, the sales that we have at Fanatics. I told you guys, custom drip, NBA merch, NFL merch, a lot of drip at such good prices. Mom, they have mad prices, like $50 for Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Lakers tee.
What is that again?
And Fanatics is a website. They partnered with us.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so the link is.
I'm always behind. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, yes.
Link is in the description. Check that out, man. Go copy some merch. And thank you for watching this episode. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. And we're going to come up with part 2. You feel me? So stay in touch and God bless you.
God bless you. See you next time. And thanks for supporting us. Thank you.
Alright, cool.